Hello and welcome back to Cruising Off Duty. If there's one question I get on the channel over and over, especially after we did all those catamaran reviews, it's why we don't just go now. Like all these young people on YouTube, they're sailing the world and they're in their 20s. I'm about to be 52 in like less than 2 weeks, so we're up there in age, and the question is why we don't just drop everything and go now. Well, we'd love to. If we could afford to, we certainly would. Maybe I'll get into the reasons why a little later. But we will love that day when it comes because we will not miss winter at all. I'm about to show you something, and this is just par for the course in Canada. Yeah, lots and lots of snow. Last night it's so much blowing snow that this little path you see of footprints through the snow is where my tenant, I have a basement tenant, comes in and out of my house. And I had snow blowed that right down to the ground, and we had so much snow and blowing snow, it's now filled right in, and the poor guy was thigh deep trying to get out to his car. That is my other roommate's SUV in the driveway. Janice's car is on the other side. Everybody stayed home except for my one basement tenant because I guess he had to go to work. Everybody else had a snow day. And if you work for the government, they'll often let you work from home. You just take a laptop. In fact, my lovely wife is home right now. And I wish I could police from home. I don't have that freedom, but she works for the federal government as an administrator, and she gets to stay all comfy cozy, all cocooned in her house coat and slippers.
And my slippers, my lammy slippers.
Her lammy slippers.
Snowy and blowy.
So we knew this was coming, so she got permission to work from home, as did my two other roommates. They're also working from home as well. So there you go. Are we going to miss this kind of stuff when we go?
No.
No. You can tell we don't even get to use our backyard. There's so much snow. That's a fire pit. That's a barbecue. That's our shed that we can't even get into. So winter sucks. So needless to say, we're not going to miss it at all when we go.
No.
So we'll get into...
We're never coming back.
Yes. We might come and visit at Christmas.
No, summer.
No? She always used to say she wants to visit her kids.
Summer.
Okay, we're not visiting at Christmas. Sorry, kids. Anyways, we won't miss winter at all. We mostly cocoon and stay inside. So yeah, we're not going to miss it. We can't wait to go. Wish we could afford it. And we'll talk about that in this episode. What reasons why we aren't going right now.
We anchor and hoist the sail.
Okay, I'm back, and I'm glad I checked the footage before I started again. That last vlog camera, my Canon G7X Mark II, was hunting and pecking with the focus a bit there. That would have been distracting. So I switched over to my GH5 on manual focus, so hopefully everything looks good. So anyways, this episode is going to be about the number one question we get on the channel, which is, why aren't we sailing now? We keep talking, we're sailing around the Thousand Islands in the summer, but as you can see from the snowbanks in front of my house, summer lasts about 6 months here in Canada, so sailing season is half a year. So it kind of bums us out because we love sailing, we love summer, we hate winter. It's pretty clear we should not be living in Canada, so the question always gets asked of us, why don't you just go now? And I so wish we could, but the truth of the matter is it's a poker term, but we are pot committed. So using an analogy of poker, yeah. When I got on as a police officer 25 years ago, I was dealt pocket aces. Great hand. You're kind of in your mindset, you're going to stick with this career or this hand right to the end with pocket aces. But you have to wait to see the flop. You get the flop. There's another ace in the flop. Let's say it's ace 10-10. So you're going, wow, not only do I have trip aces, I actually have a full house with those two tens. Pretty much, I'm unbeatable. So you make in your mind, no matter what everybody else does at the table, even if somebody pushes all their chips in, you're staying to the bitter end, especially when you get further and further into the hand. You start to realize I have pretty much the nuts here. I mean, the only thing that would be a flop of ace 10-10 is if somebody has pocket tens and they've got 4 tens. That's the only thing that's beating you. So pretty much that's how it is with a pension. Once you get past a certain point, walking away just doesn't make any sense anymore. Walking away and saying, I don't need the pension I've just spent the last 25 years paying into. And that's where we're at. Now, if we were in our 20s, like you see a lot of these people on YouTube, they're young, they probably barely had a career started when they decided to throw it all away and go sailing, and that's awesome. I wish I was back in those days when I was in my 20s and didn't have a career yet. Probably would do the same thing, but YouTube wasn't around back then and all this stuff wasn't really in my head yet, so unfortunately those days have passed. So here we are, pot committed, got to stay to the end, mostly because if we leave now, I'd either get one of two options. I'd either have to just leave the pension there and try and live on some other income while we sail around the world. Yeah, hate to tell you that YouTube doesn't pay diddly squat. It's really, most smaller channels, it's like beer money. Yeah, you're not gonna live on it. The only way you ever see channels with a smaller subscriber base and seem to be doing it full time is either they're brand sponsored, so they're they're schlepping some brand all the time. Oh, this brand, buy these shoes from this company. And a lot of fashion channels, that's what it is. The makeup companies and the clothing companies are sending them money to showcase their product. That's how they make their money, not from views. If you don't know this already, YouTube pays, let's just ballpark it. Let's say kind of worst case scenario, $3 per 1,000 views. Maybe you might, around Christmas, before Christmas, the number of people who are trying to throw ads on YouTube goes up. So the per 1,000 pay structure is a little better before Christmas, but then in January, February, when nobody's advertising as much, it goes back down. So let's just average it out to $3 per 1,000 views. So check out any of my views. I mean, the Annapolis Sailboat Show videos get more views because people are just searching for a boat, and then my video comes up, and usually I have one of the highest number of view count on these different models. So I tend to be the first choice for people to look at, and I do like that. But those episodes are my higher viewed channels. A lot of my ones where I'm sailing around the Thousand Islands, I might get 3,000, 4,000 views, 5,000 views. Multiply 5,000, best case scenario, 5,000 views for a video of us sailing in the Thousand Islands, multiply by $3. That's right. Made $15 from making that video. So clearly YouTube is really not a career unless you have a lot of sponsorships or you have a lot of patrons. Those 20-something-year-olds can do it because they're young and they're hot looking, usually. I mean, Sailing La Vagabond, she's beautiful. They go out and they're in the bikinis and they're sailing around in the South Pacific on these beautiful islands. Of course they get 100,000 views. And of course they have tons of sponsors. So they clearly can afford to keep doing it. But the older channels, people with an old Trio Travels or somebody like that, they're an older couple with their young child and they're sailing, and they might get 15,000 views, 20,000 views. Times $3, it's not a lot of money. So they've got to either hope for patrons. That's why you see a lot of sailing channels. They almost need Patreons. Patrons are the people who are like, it's a tip jar. A lot of people commit to, I'll give you $2 every time you do a video, to a maximum of, we'll say, 4 videos a month. So they're committing to $8 or $10 a month. And if you get enough people doing that, then you can make a living making YouTube. Not from YouTube, but from Patreon. And if you get a big enough channel, then you'll get the sail makers and the anchor makers and all that will, throw you some money as long as you mention their product in your video. So that's how people make money on YouTube, not from the actual ads that you may or may not see. So there you go. So our choice is leave the pension there, try and make income somewhere else, or just stick it out. So we're probably going to just stick it out. So there you go. That is the reason we're not going now. So the next we got a few exciting things coming in the near future. First, the next episodes are going to all be about cruising around on the Thousand Islands. It's the tail end of the summer. We never got around to because I was falling behind. Editing takes a ton of time, and I'm trying to film, edit, and produce all these videos by myself. I would love to have an editor come on board and help me and get rid of some of this backlog of video footage I have, but unfortunately that isn't the case. So those episodes they were still being worked on when the Annapolis Sailboat Show came, and then that became a priority, and those episodes about those boats became number one on my to-do list. And then here we are, we're through that, and now we're talking about this 10,000 nautical miling sailing trip from South Africa all the way through to the United States. So it's going to be about probably more like 8 weeks of sailing, and that's going to take up priority number one when that starts in May. So between now and February, we're mid-February now, till May, I'm going to pump out all those other videos about sailing around the Thousand Islands. It's going to be great for showing you the beauty of the Thousand Islands. And this channel is going to try and morph it a little bit away from sailing. This channel should be more about making memories, because I have a lot of other ways to enjoy life and get out there and make memories. I have a motorcycle that I don't get to use as much because I seem to be so focused on making sailing stuff that I never ever find time to go ride my motorcycle and go see some scenic things. And I think the channel needs to be more than just sailing. The whole motto of this channel is going to be more like, go out and make memories. And that means you don't need to have a sailboat. If you've got a mountain bike, go mountain bike to some mountain cliff area and go take film of some beautiful, visuals from there. You don't need to cross oceans to have memories. Just get out of your house, go explore the beauty of the surrounding area, and make some memories. If you stay home, the one thing I've done it, believe me, I'm guilty of this as well. You have a weekend off, you see your coworkers on the Monday, and everybody goes, "How was your weekend?" And you go, "Good." "What'd you do?" "Crap, what did I do?" And then you think, "I didn't do anything. I watched TV, I played some Xbox." Yeah, generally I did nothing. I just goofed the whole weekend away. And it's kind of sad. One thing I can tell you from experience, I've been a police officer for 25 years, And 8 of those years, I was actually a fatal collision investigator. And I work in the city of Ottawa. It's a population of about 1 million people. So whether you're a frontline officer like I am now, or when I was a fatal collision investigator, certainly then, you see a lot of death. You see a lot of accidental death. People die of natural causes. People die of accidents, industrial accidents or whatever. A lot of people die in car accidents. And those people didn't see it coming. So they might have thought, oh, I'm going to live to 80 or 90 or 100, which I got plenty of time to go do that travel thing I've always wanted to do. You just don't know. When you leave the house to go to work, that might be your last day. And my buddy who sees me all the time goes, you're so upbeat, but you've seen so much death. How does that not affect you? And I go, it's still in there. It's still in my memory banks. I still can bring out little pictures in my mind of places I've been where people have died. But you can't let it affect you. You've got to just move on. And if anything, it made me have more joy of life because I realized life is fleeting. It could be very, very short. You just aren't aware of it. So you have to take advantage, get out there, make some memories. Even if you don't have the money to buy a boat, even if you don't have a motor home or something where you can go travel all over North America, you got a mountain bike. Take that out. Just drive your car to some park and go hiking in the forest. I mean, do whatever you got to do to go out and make some memories. And you'll be glad you did. That way, when you get to work on Monday and somebody says, what did you do? You can say, oh, I went for a hike in Algonquin Park or something. And, while I was out there, I saw a moose or whatever your story might be. It's a lot more interesting than I sat on my couch and I played Xbox for 8 hours, which can happen, believe me. So anyways, so the motto of the channel going forward shouldn't be just a more like safe cruising, which implies sailing. It should be go out and make some memories. So there you go. So yeah, this episodes coming up are going to be about sailing in the Thousand Islands, tail end of the summer vacation, followed probably by the time I'm done that, it'll be May, and we'll be into that 10,000 nautical mile massive voyage across the ocean, which is, of course, going to be cinematic, and it's going to create a ton of memories. And for those of you who can't go on such a voyage, you'll be able to kind of vicariously, join me on the trip and get some memories of your own and get some experiences of what I saw, and maybe that'll tweak you to want to go out and explore those places of the world as well. So hopefully that's something you're looking forward to. To the patrons, I'm going to be sending out, starting today, I'm going to film it actually, I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions about that voyage, what you think I should do. I got questions like, should I shoot this in 4K? The camera I'm on right now, the GH5, Panasonic GH5 is an awesome 4K camera. It can shoot up to 60 frames a second in 4K, but the files are huge and it's so hard to edit in 4K. And my vlog camera, my G7X only shoots in 1080. So if I was going to try and render everything in 4K, one of my cameras doesn't even shoot in 4K, so I'd be up rendering that in the software. And my 4K footage would be huge and very, very, very time consuming. Is it worth it? I'd love to know what my patrons think. Sure, as regular viewers, you can comment down below as well. I'd like to know what you think as well. Or is it just easier to shoot everything in 1080p? One advantage of 1080p is my cameras that can shoot in 4K shoot even faster frame rates in 1080p. So for example, in 4K, it can only go up to a maximum of 60 frames a second. In 1080p, I think it shoots like 190 frames a second or maybe more. So I can go into the super smooth, buttery slow motion if I shoot in 1080p with my GH5. So yeah, what do you do? Do you shoot in a lower resolution and get better cinematic smoothness? Or do you shoot in the highest resolution possible to future-proof it? Because right now, hardly anybody really cares if something's in 4K versus 1080p. In fact, if you put a 1080p video on the screen and then took it off and put a 4K video on the same TV, most people wouldn't even be able to distinguish the difference, even if they have a 4K TV. But yeah, future-proofing. If you make it in 4K, you know down the road when everybody's TV is a 4K TV, maybe people will notice the difference. So yeah, it's a decision. So I'm going to be putting out some videos, asking questions of my patrons. If you're interested in getting kind of like behind the scenes stuff, building up and some behind the scenes stuff during the voyage, go to patreon.com/cruisingoffduty. That's the Patreon page for Cruising Off Duty's, I guess, tip jar, if you want to call it. And really all it is you commit to like buy a coffee for me every time you make a video, up to 4 videos a month or whatever. That's sort of the general thing people tend to do. So it's not going to break the bank, but it definitely helps if enough people do that to cover for some of the camera footage and stuff like that. The cameras do break, things do break, and I have to buy new stuff. And that's pretty much where my Patreon money is going right now. It's to just keep up with the Joneses when it comes to all this technology I have to bring along with me. Drones tend to crash and they tend to break, and cameras tend to get sand and salt and crap in them and they tend to break. So these things do cost money. So thank you to all my patrons. Not that I have a ton of patrons, but the ones I do, I consider like my closest viewers, sort of the inner circle, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So there you go. Look forward to that. Until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you safe cruising and go out and make some memories. Ciao for now. So for anybody not from Canada who's not used to this, let's say you live in Australia and you've never seen this. This is just a par for the course with us. I'm going to film Janice when she eventually brushes off her car and tries to back out to see if she can even get out of the driveway. Well, you have to get out of the driveway so I can get the snowblower going so I can actually clean the driveway. And believe it or not, this used to be like a beautiful path right down to the stone to go around to the side of my house where my tenant gets in. But yeah, we have 40 centimeters of blowing snow. This was once a well snowblow driveway. There's where my poor basement tenant parks his car. He had to dig himself out, and then Janice said he got stuck a few times trying to get out of the driveway this morning. Once the plow goes by, it's literally going to be a 4-foot snowbank in the end of our driveway. So if you don't live in this, be thankful. Shit. Now go forward. Now go backward. Go backward. Oh, this isn't going to work. There's ice underneath it. Okay, that's life in Canada. What do you think? Not fun, eh?
Yep.
Her car's still stuck.
Yeah.
All right,
Very stuck.
snow blowing time.
Yep.
Ciao for now.